Hello everybody. Today we're gonna be looking at MobX as a state management system for React. So hopefully you know a little bit about React, otherwise this video is gonna be a little bit of a stretch. But yeah, maybe you can follow along anyway. But yeah, hopefully you know a little bit about React, and you've probably come across state management, right? Because that is a core concept of React. And you might have used classes or hooks probably by today. Most people use hooks to manage their state. So today we're gonna look at how MobX can be used to replace hooks or class state management in React. Okay, let's jump right in. I do have a little repository prepared that is based on the React.js boilerplate, the very first video. So you can, if you want to follow along, you can just clone that repository, and then there's also gonna be a repository with a full code, with finished code. That is this one here, also linked down below. Okay, let's just quickly go over the code that I prepared a little bit. Let me actually just start that. Okay, there we go. Close that. Okay, basic page with not too much going on. So I have a heading here, and then a heading here, another heading with a price that is a variable that is stored in a state, right? And I'm using React the use state hook to save that state. And I also have that button here, which I can click on, which then fetches a Bitcoin price. I'm using Bitcoin just because I was doing a couple of videos on crypto investing. I think just a normal counter is getting a little bit boring after a while. But anyway, I mean, with MobX you can store whatever you want, right? It's more of a system rather than tailored to one specific requirement or one specific need. Okay, back to business. So we do have that fetching Bitcoin price util function. It doesn't really matter that much what is in there. I'm just gonna quickly show that. So I'm using the Kraken API here. You can check out this repository, automated crypto investing, or the videos that I did on that to find out more. So I'm fetching the Bitcoin price and then storing that in this hook state. Okay, and then I use that to display it on the page. So let's see if that works. Just gonna reload the page, and actually I have a little bit of an error here. That is actually in US dollars this time. Okay, I can now fetch the price. Very good. And then this variable gets updated, the Bitcoin price, and then therefore React does a re-render and displays the newly fetched price. So works fine. I can repeat that, and then the price does change every now and then. Not on every click, but yeah, I mean, it's real market data. So yeah. Okay, well, let's simply convert that to MobX. I'm just gonna do that first, and then maybe we're gonna talk about why that is a good idea, right? Why you might want to do that. Okay, so let's get going. I'm gonna create a store here. Well, I think it's somewhat. All right, before we get going, check out mobx.js.org. There's the full documentation. I think it's pretty well written. So yeah, you can check that out and see if, well, if you have any problems, maybe this helps. Okay, now let's transform that to MobX. Well, I'm gonna add MobX and MobX React, and MobX can be used with other libraries as well. I think I personally do actually either vanilla JavaScript or React, so I only know this one. But yeah, I think it can be used with other libraries or frameworks as well. Okay, install that. Very good. I'm just gonna go ahead and start that again. Now, okay, I'm gonna create one folder, which is called store, and an index file, right? Yeah, let's just keep it as that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and do the usual structure. And this here as well, the naming store is just something that I do. I mean, yeah, you can call it differently, but I kind of like it. It stores data basically, right? Okay, so we're gonna have import. Actually, let's just create a class now first, and gonna have a constructor, and we're gonna have a price. That's the Bitcoin price we're gonna use later on. First, I'm just gonna have 0, and then we're also gonna have a function called setPrice. Okay, and hopefully you know a little bit about classes in JavaScript. You don't need to know everything, but yeah, just the base data structure. Now this so far is just plain JavaScript, right? There's nothing related to MobX yet. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna transform that to a MobX class basically. And all you need to do is import this one here from MobX, and then call that and pass this, so this class in there, right? Back in the day, you would have to manually define certain things. But for now, I think it's okay to just remember, just do this and then you're good. Okay. And there's, yeah, maybe 2 main things that I want to talk about in this video. The first one is observables, which is this one. So something your app depends on, your code depends on, that might change over time. So think of this as similar to the first variable in that you receive from the state hook from React, right? And then you have the second part, which is called action, which is to change something in your data store, right? You can like, this is the exact example that we have in here, right? So we have one variable and one function to change that variable, and this here is the same thing. Well, actually, let me finish that real quick. Price, and then we're gonna call set this dot price is the price that we passed there, right? Okay, so this is the exact same, but you can think of something else and a little bit of a different structure to modify your state or the data in your store, right? But yeah, for now, let's keep it that way. So remember, observable and action. Action change observables, and then you can use those observables in your actual React components. But first, I'm just gonna export that store, and I'm just gonna make one store, right? I'm also gonna do another video on classes and how to use them, but for now I'm just gonna make one instance and export that. Okay, then in the application, I can import that. So I'm gonna import my store, import store, very good. And then, yeah, we can use that. So we can just say store.price, oops, store.price to fix to, right? So we don't use that anymore. And then we can go store.setPrice, right? So we're just replacing this with the store that we built. There is one more thing that we need to do, and which is we need to tell React somehow, let's say, that this is using observables, right? And this is the crux of MobX. Basically, you have to build a store, and then you also have to connect your component. And how you do that is with import observer from MobX React. Note this time it's MobX React because this is React specific. This one is just MobX in general, right? So this has nothing to do with React. As I said, you could use that in a different with a different framework. But here we're using React. We have React components, so that's why we're importing observer from MobX React. Okay, and then where do we put that? We put that around the functional component that we have. If you're still using classes, there's something else called decorators. But yeah, you might want to dig into the documentation. Okay, let's see if that works. So, well, there's one thing. Which is, okay, class properties. This is a little bit of a new thing. Actually, let me just try to see. Okay. I wonder why that is, but presets and then env. This should do the trick. Let's see, yarn and yarn dev. We'll see if that works. So this is basically, well, this is a little bit of a newer syntax, right, in JavaScript. So to transpile that, we need to have, well, we need to tell our bundler how it should transpile that, and this would be with the Babel preset env. That checks the code and then sees, okay, this is the feature that it needs to transpile. Okay, let me just quickly do that. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah, with a little bit of fiddling, I was able to get it to work. These transpiling things are always a little bit hacky. Well, not hacky, but you gotta try a little bit. Anyway, this is the final result. So again, this is just to transpile the code or tell how to transpile the code. No need to go into detail with that. So yeah, just probably if you're facing that issue or if you want to work with it, just copy and paste that, and then you should be good to go. Yeah, first you have to install these three, and then you can create that file here, and then you should be good to go. So back to the actual state management. So I replaced the state hooks. So first thing, observer, right? Wrap your component in an observer. And then second thing is I replaced all the occurrences of that previous hook. Well, the state hook with the store. So still fetching the price from the utils function, and then I'm calling store.setPrice, this function here, right, which updates the price up here, and then we can also display that. So let's try it, and there we go. Now there's not much happening on the market at the moment, I think. So maybe just the final thing to tweak is to not have to click here every time, but rather it just automatically fetches every 2 seconds or something like that. So let's try and do that. Okay, so I'm not gonna have this button anymore. I'm actually gonna move that to the store itself, right? And this is the nice thing about MobX. It can live really without any component and any component lifecycle. You could argue, okay, if you don't have a component to display, then you wouldn't need to fetch it to, in this case, the price. But still, you don't want to be bound to the lifecycle of one component and simply store all of the values. So meaning you don't have to fetch it when it mounts, and then when it unmounts, all your data is lost, right? You can mount and unmount any component, and your data is still let's say safe in a data store in our class here. Okay. Another advantage is that if you have a component tree, right? So here I just have one component, the application, but let's say I have a navigation bar, and then I have a sidebar, I have a little bit of stuff here. Probably we're gonna build something more complex later on, but yeah, I have a couple of components down there. Then with normal state hooks, I would have to have the state in the uppermost component and then pass it down to every single component that needs that state, right? Now with this setup with MobX, you can simply have your store here, and then you can import that very easily and plug that in wherever you need to, right? So there's no need to fiddle with these props and whatnot. You can just get your store and get that variable out. Perfect. Okay, well that's I think that's enough theory for now. I'm just gonna put that into the store to repeatedly fetch the price automatically, and then I think we're done. So okay, I'm just gonna remove the button. Okay, very good. And then price, and then we're gonna put that here. I'm just gonna have an interval. Yeah, let's put every 2 seconds, and then we're gonna have the price, and here it's not store, it's actually this dot set price. Okay, this is a class thing in JavaScript. Okay, well, async, and then we also need that function in here. I'm just gonna grab that from the component. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's see if that works every 2 seconds, and there we go. Okay, yeah, and we do have our price updated automatically. I mean, obviously this is possible with normal React and hooks as well, but I think this one is quite nice. Maybe maybe one more thing. Maybe have date updated is new. Oh, actually nothing. And then we're gonna say this date updated is new date. So we can just always set the time that we updated it. And then in here, we're gonna have store date updated. If we have that, get, I'm not sure, get hours probably. Yeah. Okay. And then probably want to use something like moment.js, but just I think get minutes and get seconds. Hopefully that'll work. Oh, missing the, okay, yeah. So every 2 seconds that's being updated. Okay. Perfect. Well, it's not quite 2 seconds because this takes some time, and so there's a little bit of a delay. But yeah, all we don't want to necessarily have a clock that skips every 2 seconds. We want to have the price and then display when that price was received. So I think that's okay. Well, there's a 0 missing, but yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I think, yeah, this is a nice showcase for MobX, a nice introduction. Just as a quick recap, we have observables, usually stored in a class. We have, this is very important, and then we have actions. And then in React, we need the observer, or wrap our component in observer, and then we can simply access these observables. Okay, well, yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Let me know what you think and if you have any questions, and then see you in the next one.